A black man found dead hanging after filing a lawsuit against the cops. This story is going to make your blood boil. Put up the picture full mass here. According to the Atlanta Black Star, Denoris Richardson, a black man who earlier this year filed a lawsuit against the local police in Alabama, was found dead last month, hanging from a rope in an abandoned house. His family believes the 39-year-old man may have been lynched by the police. He was suing from the Sheffield Police Department in Colbert County. Richardson's body was found hanging by a rope from a beam in an abandoned house on September 28th, after the Colbert County Sheriff's Office received a call about a suspicious vehicle. Valentine said, quote, "We've spoken with the mother at length," the sheriff told AL.com. She seemed to think that Mr. Richardson was depressed because his estranged wife had been giving him some problems. They had been separated. There were a lot of things going on in Mr. Richardson's life, end quote. But Bonita Richardson denied telling the sheriff her son had been depressed. Quote, "My son was joyful," she said. "He didn't have any mental issues. He would never kill himself. He would not hurt himself." Richardson also said her son was under a lot of stress since filing the lawsuit because he feared retaliation from the officers who had already abused him. Quote, "He really was in fear for his life," she told Alabama Media Group. "I think it's a homicide," end quote. His wife, Leanne Richardson, told local media that police had repeatedly arrested, physically beaten, and harassed him over the years, which intensified after he filed the lawsuit in February, accusing 6 officers of violating his Fourth Amendment rights through excessive force, as well as denying him medical services under the Americans with Disability Act. Quote, "I need answers," his wife, Leanne Richardson, told the Alabama Media Group. "This was made to look like it's not a..." She said her husband had been harassed by Sheffield police after he filed the lawsuit against them. The suit centers around an officer we've previously covered. Put him up full mass. See, we've covered him before. His name is Max Dotson. You see, Officer Dotson, a former cop who in an unrelated incident threatened the life of a different black man who was talking to his daughter. Here's video of that altercation.
Is this your property?
Go, man.
Is this your property?
Big fat boy. Go, man.
Is this your property?
Go, man.
Nope.
It's gonna be my property. How you doing, bro?
You must be.
What's going on, man?
What's up?
Help! 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 You wanna get beat? You know what I'm doing?
Let it go!
I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything. Ow! Come on, stop, man. Stop. Stop.
I ain't got no courage.
We're resisting!
Get him!
We're resisting!
Bro, I give up. Come on, man.
I got no courage.
Yes, I live here. This is my home, man. Come on, bro.
Lay down.
Come on, bro. Come on, man.
Put the cop back up. You see, we brought this to the attention of the authorities, to the attention of the community back some time ago. This cop was part of that lawless crew you just saw. Remember, in the state of Alabama, if you are on private property, they do not have the right to make you produce identification. Only if you are on publicly accessible property is that rule applied. I'm going to give you background on this lawsuit. Richardson was attending a hearing at the Sheffield Municipal Courthouse over drug charges November 30th, 2022, when the judge told him to step outside the courtroom, according to the lawsuit which describes Richardson as asthmatic and diabetic. The lawsuit states that Richardson was attempting to use the restroom when Sheffield Police Lieutenant Max Dotson assaulted him by grabbing his arms as if to arrest him, even though Richardson had done nothing wrong. It is not clear from the lawsuit as to why Dotson grabbed his arms, but Dotson was later fired and convicted on assault charges over another incident in 2022. Former cop was also arrested on DUI charges earlier this year, career criminal. But after Richardson was transported to jail that day, he ended up further allegedly being attacked by the Sheffield police officer, Darian Fountain. You're looking at him. That is Officer Fountain, who struck him in the throat with the palm of his hand and shoved his head against the wall before falsely charging him with assault. The lawsuit says keep his picture up. The reason why I used the palm of his hand is because it won't give a visible sign, no marking that he used his fist. It's an old tactic utilized by cops. From there, Dotson and Fountain strapped Richardson to a restraint chair for 3 hours, where they called him a P word and mother blanker and told him, "Nobody can help you," end quote. Dotson later spray peppered into his cell, pepper sprayed his cell, knowing he was asthmatic. That could have killed him. And also stepped into the cell to punch him, according to the lawsuit. Now, according to Atlanta Black Star, Sheffield police officer Brett Evans on the left then allegedly tasered Richardson under the orders of the Sheffield police chief, Ricky Terry Center. And he was once again placed in the restraint chair for several hours. Sheffield police officer Elbert Pope on the right was named in a lawsuit for allegedly denying Richardson food and medical care. Okay. Every racist, corrupt regime has a token. You're looking at one of them right there. The lawsuit mentions another incident from earlier this year, January 9th, where he was viciously attacked by the Sheffield police. Police officers Billy Hall and Sanaka Butcher when he attempted to use a phone in the jail to call 911. He's in the jail. He needs to use the phone. He's calling 911 to get medical help. Richardson was out on bond prior to his death. Colbert County Sheriff Eric Ballantine said, quote, "As far as our investigation goes, we want to be transparent. We've even placed a call into the U.S. Attorney General's office to see if they could maybe take a look at it also. It's just a request. But because there is some concern as far as the family goes, we don't mind them coming in and taking a look at the case." You know, the sheriff is, to some may seem, that's a really decent response, Sheriff. Is it? You're the constitutional officer. You're the elected authority. You have more authority than the chief of police. Where's the vigorous investigation? We're going to get to the bottom of this. You see, sheriffs are held accountable by the citizens. That was the reason the sheriff's position was affixed in state constitutional charters, so that you can eliminate some of the politics in the pedigree of corruption that happens with a local council, or maybe between a mayor and a chief of police. The sheriff is accountable to the people. The sheriff is accountable to the people. All of a sudden, the sheriff contextualizes the language to say, well, because the family has an issue here, we called the feds to see if they could look into it. Sir, you looking into it? Are you investigating this based on the claims that have already been presented, based on the fact that you have a cop who has been arrested, fired already, who was part of this madness with this one man? Hell of a thing. Senator, once again, one of those situations where we reported on this, I think, probably last year, this problematic cop, and all of a sudden there's now a death, and this cop is associated with this incident. What say you?
Yeah, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck,
Yeah.
it probably is a duck. They have a problem. This is the great state of Alabama. Let us remind them of that, Dr. Richard. It's the same Alabama. Okay, people got to understand that in the South, those remnants are still there. There have been over 300 lynchings of African Americans over the last 66 years in just that state alone. We know that lynching started with vigor after the Civil War into Reconstruction, all the way up into the 20th century. And so the fact that the sheriff, and you called him out properly, Dr. Ritchie, he has a fiduciary and a moral obligation.
That's right.
This is a stain and a blemish on his department. He should comport himself as if he gives a damn that this is happening under his watch, on top of reaching out to the Department of Justice. And absolutely, the Department of Justice should come into that city and do a full-fledged investigation. The state of Alabama should get involved. All the levels of government, Doc, should get involved in this, because this is a shame. And for the gentleman is not only, Mr. Richardson, is Black, but to have a disability too. And we know how our sisters and brothers and family and friends in the disabled community of all backgrounds, how they are treated in this society, from making sub wages all the way to not being given the deference and the help that they need to navigate all of the systems. And that footage that you showed of them jumping on that man, sicking that dog on him. I mean, it just reminded me of how the slave catchers used to get the hounds out to chase the enslaved. It shows us how in the South in the 60s, not that long ago, how law enforcement very much was involved in hurting Black people who were simply marching for the right to vote and to be considered real human beings, equal human beings in the country that we built. Those dogs were police dogs. Those water hoses belonged to the fire department, of which Black people were paying the taxes for.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I mean, there is a saying, I didn't think of it. I don't know who did. Maybe one of our viewers know, but somebody put out there, this country is lucky that Black people just want justice and not revenge.
And that's
a hell of a thing to have to endure generation after generation after generation and not seeing much change. This is the 21st century, and you got sheriff's departments comporting themselves this way. And let us remind our viewers, Doc, a lot of elected officials were members of the KKK. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, and they still are members by way of consent and ideology. And you will see that even as the wheels of justice turn in this case, hopefully they turn a little faster than the previous case we covered, where cops there also kidnapped 2 Black men, shot one in the face, threw eggs on them, kidnapped them overnight, arrested them. And when the Black men came out with their story, nobody believed them, but we believed them at indisputable. And now those cops who did that have been prosecuted by the state and the federal government, and they have lengthy prison sentences because those men spoke out and we believed them. And that's what it takes to transform this system. Just like they think they can make examples out of individuals who follow the law, we should make examples out of individuals who wear their uniform who do not. We are not a court of law. We are the court of public opinion. Sometimes we are necessary. We're agile in ways a judicial system may not be willing to be. All right, we'll bring you updates. Obviously, updates will come.